sad thing that happened.
Tonight, there's a small handful of senators calling for a congressional investigation into the president and his family's taxes and finances, among them Democrat Richard Blumenthal. I wanted to talk with someone who does stories like this routinely because they are just so complex. So we called up Dave Levinthal. He's a senior political reporter at the Center for Public Integrity. Dave, this thing landed like a bombshell, and it got complicated fast. You're used to dealing with really complex stories, so what was your top line?
Top line was this was effectively a biography of Donald Trump's early days, not just from when he was in business, but literally when he was in the cradle all the way into his 40s and 50s, about how he had been enriched and how he had enriched himself through family money. Donald Trump loves to talk of this Genesis story where he is a self-made man, he is a self-made billionaire. Sure. That has been his shtick from the 80s forward, and books he's written all the way up to the presidential campaign trail. But what this report showed is that that wasn't exactly the case.
I can see on the 2020 stage someone saying, "Listen, Donald, we all know your secret." Now, will it actually impact his voters, his base? I'm a little more skeptical about that.
Yeah, I think people should be skeptical about it because he has been able to weather just about every storm, political or otherwise, that has come his way. Most people thought, including people in the Republican Party, that he wasn't going to survive the release back in October of 2016, the infamous NBC tape where he's talking about women and some pretty awful terms, and yet he was elected just a few weeks later. So is this going to derail him? Is this going to somehow cut him off at the knees in terms of his reelection? I don't think anyone realistically thinks so, but yes, it's going to be used. Absolutely, Democrats are going to see this as an opportunity in the coming months, in the coming couple of years, to use this against him.
In your line of work and the type of stories that you follow, you need cold hard proof and you need numbers and documents. What do you think could be in the most recent ones? Because it wouldn't be this.
Well, you're correct. This is all biographical, and this is all from the past. What it does not include, really in any way, shape, or form, is the most recent tax information about Donald Trump himself, about what his businesses were doing, about his charitable contributions, which have become a major issue for him, or really anything.
To shut it down.
Exactly. But it really doesn't speak to what's going on with the Trump hotels, the Trump golf courses, the idea that Donald Trump is in some way benefiting financially from the presidency, and that he's continuing to do so because he hasn't divested of all of his massive assets the world around.
So what you're saying is what we're not seeing today could be much more important than what we are seeing from the past.
Without question. The past certainly informs the recent past and the present,
or
potentially the future.
Playing fast and loose.
Absolutely, but that is something that he just simply refuses to give up. He said during the campaign, hey, you know, it's all about an audit and we'll release it. Well, he's moved on so far beyond that at this point. So really the only thing that could be done to compel him to do it, save it for him volunteering it, which he seems like he will never do, is for Congress to step in and quite literally pass a law that says presidential candidates will have to be required to release tax information in some sort.
But don't you think that's also why he would never file a lawsuit against the New York Times, because then that would force discovery and they'd say, all right, show us the tax returns, and then it's official.
He loves to talk about lawsuits. He loves to talk about suing the failing New York Times and these various other places. But of course, that would trigger some pretty bad, onerous things for him. And oftentimes when Donald Trump threatens to do something like that, he ultimately does not follow through.
Do you think the IRS will pursue this?
The IRS pursues very little right now. It has to rise above a pretty high bar in order for the IRS to go after anyone. Say nothing about the President of the United States, who, again, regardless of who he is, occupies some rarefied territory, legal and otherwise. Could be hundreds of millions of dollars left on the table. Though there could potentially be some civil penalties for President Trump. You heard at the top of this hour New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio saying he wants to recover every cent that New York City is owed. And the state of New York, we know, has opened its own investigation. These probes are underway. All of this raising questions about the image President Trump has projected of a man who took a small loan from his father.